Something is close to changing trucking insurance and victims' rights forever. And if you've been sick of the abuse of the lawsuits against trucking companies like I have, then this video is going to be a game changer for you. Folks, let me tell you about a recent news article that came out talking about the Fair Truckin Act. Brand new out of Washington. It's not like some little tweak here or there. No. This bill says that if you've got a trucking crash lawsuit over $5 million, it doesn't just go to some jackpot state courtroom with handpicked juries. It gets yanked right into federal court, and boom, just like that. The idea is to stop trial lawyers from going judge shopping and getting the greatest nuclear verdicts, like the Warners, the Wabashes, the kind, and make sure that trucking companies actually get a fair fight. At least that's what they're telling us anyway. Now, whether or not it really is going to protect the trucking companies or make our lives any easier, I'm going to leave that one up to you. So let's get into it. Greetings, truck lovers and truth seekers from all over the United States of trucking. BossMan here, giving you a quick shake at critical thinking fueled by faith, sanctioned by God. This is Truckin' Headlines, and today's headlines is on the Fair Trucking Act. So today we're looking at whether or not the Fair Trucking Act actually does level the playing field. See, critics argue that it could stack the deck against victims and their families by forcing them into expensive and complex and otherwise lengthy, drawn-out federal court cases. In the end, trucking companies need help too. We're going to go over the details. You be the judge, and you let me know. So what is this, and how is everybody affected? By shifting $5 million or higher cases to federal court, what you do is cut down the jackpot factor. This means that insurers aren't just staring down the barrel of a $30 million verdict or a $100 million verdict in a hand-picked court where the odds are forever against you. In theory, your premiums should stop climbing, maybe even level it out for the first time in years. How would that be? And this next piece, this is critical. If federal jurisdiction really reins in those kind of verdicts, those high dollar ones, then insurers and the very companies cashing your premiums checks, well, they should be the first to back this bill, you'd think. And it brings us to the big question, which is, are the insurers in your corner? Middlemen in the fight. That's right, the insurance companies. These guys aren't exactly in the business of handing out charity. They don't lower premiums out of the goodness of their hearts. If their costs drop because they no longer have to be staring down a $50 or $100 million verdict from some frivolous lawsuit, question needs to be asked, will those savings flow down to you? I mean, this could theoretically reshape underwriting standards. Think about it. Shift risk pools, even affect whether or not smaller outfits can even get coverage at all. Fewer nuclear verdicts might stabilize the market, but it could also tighten the screws on who qualifies for insurance in the first place. So here's where I turn over to you guys. Let me ask you, when it comes to this very topic, do you trust the insurers to pass along the savings? What say you? Put it in the comments below. See, it's one thing to have a company, and it's one thing to be sued, but it's another to be a victim in this and to need to make your life whole again. So the question then needs to be asked, what makes it fair? Back in the day, it was insurance is there to cover the victims. Well, with these cases getting so huge and so out of control, where do we draw the line? Tell me your thoughts below. Every lawsuit has two sides. You've got the insurance companies and the trucking companies, but you've also got the victims and those fighting to get back what they originally had. For the crash victims and their families, the Fair Trucking Act could raise the bar. Federal courts aren't the hometown jury they used to be. They're slower, they're more expensive, and they're more complicated. saving us and saving insurance just a little. And for families already drowning in medical bills, justice just gets pushed further and further down the road. Here's where the critics are really fighting back against this. This bill, they say, protecting trucking businesses over human needs and suffering. Well, they say it shields the companies while the injured are left with fewer options. Well, that's a powerful emotional argument, and I really get it. I totally get it. But again, I go back to the first question. Where do we draw that line? If you got a thought, put it down below. Honestly, a lot of this comes down to trust. I'm going to ask, do you trust litigators and insurance adjusters to make that call? The Fair Trucking Act could change the way insurance works in this country, and it could reshape what justice looks like for victims and their families. On one hand, truckers and small fleets need relief from these nuclear verdicts, because between you and me, they've gotten quite out of hand. You never know where it's going to start, and you never know when it could end. Critics warn that families could be hurt, but I warn we could be out of business tomorrow. And that's the tension right there. Fairness for truckers versus fairness for victims. Watching this video, where do you stand? One thing I know for sure is we need to get rid of the fraud and the corruption, not only in insurance, but in trucking in general. Check this video out for an interesting perspective on fraud most people haven't heard about yet. Take a moment and scan the QR code at the bottom of this screen and become a member of the TIB Nation today. Help support this channel and its mission to make trucking great again. Be sure and like what you see. I want you to remember it's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Till the next headline, keep it real and keep it rolling.